Donald Trump was elected the 47th president of the United States of America this week in what was, some would call, a massive red wave sweep that took over the United States. Many Democratic states turned red. A lot of people who voted for Trump, a lot of people who voted for Biden back in 2020 voted for Trump this year. And it's left Democrats and a lot of people scratching their heads wondering why. It's left people wondering what happened. How did they drop the ball? And how did this many people turn their backs on the Democratic Party? Well, I can tell you what I think happened. I feel like I know why people turned their backs on this party, and I feel like I truly know what happened because I myself had some of the same thoughts and concerns that a lot of these voters who swapped to Trump did, right? Now, I'll tell you, I didn't vote for Trump. But, I had some of the same thoughts and concerns that these people who did vote for Trump did, right? I had some of the same concerns. And you better believe we're going to talk about it if you want to. Welcome back to Damien After Dark. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button. Like this video by clicking the thumbs up button. That helps us get in the algorithm. Join the conversation and get in the comment section. Leave me your thoughts and opinions on what I had to say. Please be kind and respectful. We all know politics can be a very toxic place when it comes to that environment. Speaking in that landscape, politics, we all know it can get very ugly and dirty. So please be mindful. Please be respectful when engaging in the comment section. If you would like to donate to the channel and help us grow and sustain, in the description box below will be some ways that you can tip us creators. All right, Cash App, YouTube, or Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, all that good stuff. Okay, thank you guys for the support. Thank you for the love, all that. I really truly appreciate it. Now, my core followers, my core fan base, my core group of people, subscribers, whatever you guys would like to call yourself, that come here and watch me. Y'all know we don't talk politics over here. Do we ever talk politics over here? No, baby. This is a trashy pop culture show. This is supposed to a place where you're supposed to just come, let your hair down, and we laugh, have a good time. It's never supposed to be that serious, but I felt like this time was different, and I feel like a conversation needed to be had because we can't just act like that the biggest election in our time didn't just happen, right? In every election, the stakes get higher and higher, but this time the stakes were really high, and I felt like I would be doing a disservice if I didn't use my platform to speak my truth on why I feel like the Democrats lost this election, on why I feel like Kamala Harris lost this election. I know why she lost this election, and it's very simple. And I feel like there's a few things. Because a lot of people can blame it on, oh, America's not ready for a woman president. America's not ready for a black woman. You know, they don't respect women. And I agree with that to some extent. I don't think that the country is ready for a woman president, or a black woman president, even though I voted for her. Even though I voted for her and I can stand in that and say that, I also can stand up here and speak what I think are truths and facts. Even though I voted for them, even though I voted for Kamala Harris and what would have been that administration, I still had concerns. I still had worries. I still had doubts and fears because when I would watch these rallies and I would listen to her speak and I would listen to things, I would have more answers, or I would have more questions, right, than answers. And I would get met with a lot of times of, well, what does Trump have? What does he say in his rallies? Well, he's not doing this. Y'all need to hold Kamala to the same standard. And while I agree with that, wholeheartedly, at the same time, I'm not voting on all the things that Trump did wrong or what's wrong with him. I'm voting on what you can promise me as a presidential candidate. I'm not voting on against Trump. Oh, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm voting because here's the thing. A lot of the reason why people, I feel like, left the Democratic Party with this election, it's because we are exhausted with this anti-Trump rhetoric, right? We all know Donald Trump's an asshole. We all know Donald Trump has unethical, unsavory behavior. We've heard him. It's not like this man is trying to hide who he is. It's not, he's been very upfront and clear with what kind of person he is. He's been very clear that he will grab you by the pussy, okay? And it's not funny, but I think a lot of people this election were like, you know what? I would rather deal with the devil that I know than the devil that I don't know, because Trump gonna sit in the motherfucking screen. He gonna sit in front of the camera. He's gonna sit on TV. He don't care who's there, and he's gonna say whatever. And it's unsavory. It kind of makes your stomach turn sometimes. But I think a lot of people appreciated that versus Kamala, who I have so much respect for, and I feel like really got the shit end of the stick, because look, she had 100 days to run a campaign. That's unheard of. Who else has done that, right? She literally had 100 days to get in there and try to make something shake in a matter of 5-6 months. And with her, I feel like Americans didn't really get to know Kamala. We don't really know her, right? And I don't think that's necessarily one person's fault. I don't think we can blame it on her. I don't think we can blame it on her administration. I think it had a lot to do with the timing. The timing. We've known Trump for years. Whether you knew him before he ran for president and you watched him on The Apprentice, or whether you got to know him when he became president. Most of us know this man from the last 8 to 10 years, right? Kamala, I feel like people didn't really know her. And I honestly feel like she was pushed out there. Like, okay, Joe's going down. Kamala, we need you. Get out there. Throw a teleprompter in front of her. Go. There was never time to sit and resonate and relate with the American public, because while everybody was so busy in the Democratic Party and just across the board on the news outlets and all that, while everybody was so busy trying to paint the anti-Trump narrative, everybody was so busy saying, look at him. What about the threat to the democracy? While everyone was so busy doing that, they sweeped us. They sweeped us. And I'm telling you guys, ever since Joe Biden dropped out of the race and they've been running this Kamala Harris campaign, and every time I would watch a rally, I would say to myself, oh my God, we have to get away from Trump. We have to stop talking about Donald Trump, because guess what? People like me, you, everybody else out here, other U.S. citizens, that's not paying our motherfucking bills. Donald Trump being a threat to democracy, that's not going to change. The lights getting cut off, the milk being $6 a gallon, and I get it. Inflation is going down. Things are going down, right? They are going down compared to what they used to be. But it feels like Democrats focused on shit that did not matter within the last 4 years, and it came back and it smacked them in the face. Now, Joe and Kamala did some great things, right? They capped the cost of insulin for those that needed insulin, because we know at one point insulin was through the roof. It was so expensive, people weren't even getting their medications. So, bravo to them for that. They got a lot of people's student loans dismissed. I heard somebody yesterday say that they had like 100. I think they said they had someone said that they had like up to $100,000 of student loans waived, forgived, dismissed. I had like $10,000 to $20,000. I'm pretty sure mine has been dismissed. I haven't got anything in the mail or anything that I know of, but they ain't asking me for no money. And y'all know how, what's it called? Fed loan, FedNet, so whatever the name of the Sally Mae, whatever the name of the student loan place is. You know how it is. They be on you when they want their money. Knock on wood, they haven't emailed me or nothing, so I'm hoping mine got forgiven. But I say that to say Kamala and Joe did some great things, right? And they came into this office, they came into the office of the President of the United States when it was very shitty. Trump left them with a dump, right? COVID, the mess of COVID, the after effects of COVID, the inflation, all these people who had lost their lives, they left them with a lot. They left them with a lot to deal with. So I commend them for what they done. However, I feel like they could have done more and focused in other areas that were needed to be focused on. anytime the border was brought up, it was like it wasn't a big deal. I feel like the border has not even been focused on. People should be allowed to come to America and be U.S. citizens, of course, but even though I'm a gay liberal, so to speak, I like to say I'm in the middle because I'm from the South. I'm from the deep South. I have conservative values too. But I would like to say I'm more in the middle, leaning toward liberal, right? Um, I say all that to say, as much as I may have liberal thoughts and ideas and viewpoints, there still is a process to come here and be a citizen, right? And people should be allowed to do that. But the way that they just let all these people come into the country, pour into the country, and I know I might sound Trumpy right now, but we got to just face the facts on why this election was lost. And this is one of the core reasons. They did not focus on a lot of Americans, whether you like it or not, conservative and liberal, a lot of Americans were concerned with the border. Fentanyl is in this country like crazy, right? I mean, okay, you guys, so let me also be clear. I'm going to stop the video for a second because I'm watching the footage back of this video that I made, and I want to make sure I'm clear with something because I'm talking about undocumented immigrants, talking about people migrating to America the right way. I want to make it very clear. I don't think there's anything wrong with undocumented immigrants being here. Yes, do I think people should come here legally and do it the right way? Absolutely. But that's not always the facts of life. That's not always the reality. And from what I've heard from people who have gotten citizenship here in America, they say that most Americans would not be able to pass the citizenship test. Most of the questions on that citizenship test, natural born Americans don't even know the answers to. So it's easy for us as citizens who were born here to say, well, just come in the country legally, when it's not as easy as it's said and done. You know, it's a whole process. And yes, I'm not trying to negate the process, or I'm not trying to I keep dropping my phone. Sorry, you guys. I'm not trying to minimize the process of coming to America and being a citizen, like, oh, we shouldn't have to do it. But I think we should give grace, right? And here's another valid point, because I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself, because I had concerns for the border, but it wasn't for undocumented immigrants that come over here to try to find a better life. My concern for the border was the drugs. I know a young lady who passed away from fentanyl 2 days ago. Okay, very young girl, probably my age, early 30s, late 20s, passed away from fentanyl. It's happening all the time, and we can't act like that it's not happening. And yes, all this may not be coming from the border, but a lot of it is. You know, we can't ignore that there are drugs coming over the border, that there are, these different gangs and dangerous people. Not all of them, of course. Because here's the other thing. Trump wants to do this mass deportation. And there's so many people that are for it, right? I don't think we should do that. I think we should offer a path to citizenship for some of these people, make it easier for them. But here's the thing. Doing the mass deportation, you might be able to get rid of the criminals. But what about the hardworking people who are really here just trying to make a living, who are trying to get that citizenship? And you may say, oh, well, Damien, they have to do it the legal way. But who's going to work those jobs that a lot of these lazy-ass Americans don't want to do? Who's going to do these hard jobs? Let's talk about the hard ones. Let's talk about the jobs that are gritty, grimy, these chicken plants that nobody wants to work at, these construction jobs where you have to be on the roof in the sweltering heat during some of these humid summers in the deep South. A lot of Americans won't do those jobs. Who's going to do these jobs, picking fruit, picking different things like that? Who's going to do all these jobs that Americans don't want to do, that the undocumented immigrants come over here and gladly do? It's something to think about, and I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, and that my stance was clear in this video, that while I do think the border is a problem, and I do think that we do need to have some resolve, that I don't want to get it misconstrued and let people think that I'm just against immigrants. I'm by no means. I'm not. I'm for them completely to come here and make a better life. But I'm also here on the flip side too. We need to be put first as American citizens. And I think we talked about that here in this video. Another reason why the Democrats lost the election is because a lot of Americans felt like immigrants in other countries like Ukraine and Iraq and Iran and all those places like that. I think it's Iran, or is it, where was it? Israel. I'm sorry. All these other countries, Americans feel like the Democrats were putting them first. Come over here, we'll put you in a hotel, we'll give you money to spend, we'll give you a Social Security card temporarily, allegedly. I don't know if this is factual, but allegedly, this thing that Joe Biden and them passed, this sanctuary thing that Joe Biden and them passed, that's what I was pertaining to. So the immigrant issue is difficult, right? It's touchy, it's difficult, but you can have love for human beings. You can have love for undocumented immigrants and want the best for them, and also have love for yourself, your family, and your country, and want to put them first. Like, let's help all these people get a pathway to citizenship. Let's help them get into this country without doing the weird deportation shit. But let's also put Americans first before we do that. Do y'all know what I'm saying? Let's get back to the video. The border was an issue to Democrats and Republicans. Inflation was an issue for everybody. It wasn't just a Democrat or Republican issue. Trans people playing in trans women playing in biological women's sports, that was an issue for people as well. It wasn't just a Republican issue. It was an issue for people across the board. Not every single person, but it wasn't just conservative Republicans. Do y'all see what I'm saying? And I feel like the Biden and Harris administration focused heavily, especially in this last year, on abortion. That's all we heard. Abortion, abortion, women's rights, abortion. And yes, let's focus on that. But y'all are acting like that's the only issues we had in this country. Y'all act like we only had women in this country that you were speaking to. We got to make it we got to make it make sense, right? I'm just sitting back after all this and reflecting on it and thinking on it, and I'm like, this is why they really lost. Like, honestly, everything was heavily focused on why Donald Trump is a bad person and why we need to reverse the Roe v. versus Wade decision. Okay? And I'm pro. I don't like to speak on abortion much because I'm a male. I don't have a say in that. But if I were just to, if someone were to ask me, I've always said I'm pro-choice. I feel like women should be able to choose. Do I think it should be a form of contraception? Absolutely not. That's horrible. But I do think that there are certain situations where women should be able to get an abortion. Point blank. Period. Um, you can disagree with me on that. That's the beauty of living in America. We can disagree, we can agree, but we don't have to tear each other down in the process of that, okay? Um, so yeah, we dropped the ball. We dropped the ball big time. Because when you look at that United States map, I was shocked. Because up until this election results were announced, they kept, the polls are saying this. Oh, it's neck and neck. Oh, it's neck. Baby, he clean sweeped that ass, okay? Trump swept that ass. If you look at the United States map, there was probably 45 red states and maybe 5 blue. And those 5 blue states were the obvious ones. California, New York, right? And I'm sure they probably weren't close from flipping to red. It's very telling. It's very telling. It would be different if this had been a neck and neck race. But it really wasn't. The people have spoken. They made up their minds. And like I told you guys, I can sit up here and be honest and stand in my truth and say I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Harris to win. But I am mature enough, man enough to get up here and speak what I feel like are the truths, the facts of why these people lost this election. Because this entire time, the last 4 years, I've been watching and I've been listening. I'm like, what's going on now? I gave y'all my vote in 2020, and I feel like y'all letting us down. What's happening? What's going on? Does anybody else feel that way? Did anybody else vote for Kamala Harris, but you have the same sentiments and concerns that I have had and still do have? And here's another thing. Someone made a great point about this. Like, I get that they only had 100 days to run this campaign, but one of the mistakes I feel like they made was Kamala keeping the Biden administration camp. I feel like she should have got a whole new team. We should have started a whole new campaign. She should have ran on new ideas. She went on The View. She went on The View about a month ago, and she did an interview with The View, the ladies at The View, and they asked her, what would you do? Is there anything you would do differently if you were elected president than what Joe Biden did? What would you do differently than Joe since you were the vice president? And she said, nothing comes to mind. I'm like, Kamala, no, baby. First of all, did nobody give her the questions before she went out there? And even if they didn't give her the questions, you should be able to answer that without being prepped with those questions. If you're going to run our country, what would you do that was different than Joe Biden? Maybe she couldn't give us something right off the bat, but I wouldn't have said nothing comes to mind, because that right there was one thing that I feel like kind of worried voters a little bit. They were like, I don't want to go through another 4 years of what I just went through. Granted, I truly feel like what we've gone through the last 4 years, the inflation that we've gone through, was not just a Biden issue. That was not something that Joe Biden did. That's where people have it so fucked up. I remember when gas was high last year, and I would ride around and people would have stickers of Joe Biden that says, I did that. Like he was responsible for the gas price. It's really giving. A lot of people don't know how government, civics, economics, all this works, right? Because here's the gag. When we were going through all this crazy inflation and high gas prices, guess what? Other countries were too. I had friends in Budapest, Hungary. I had a friend in Budapest, Hungary, who was telling me, "No, Damien, gas is outrageous over here too. Inflation is crazy over here too." Got a friend over in London, in the UK. "No, Damien, gas is crazy over here too. Inflation is crazy over here too." It wasn't just the United States of America. Was Joe Biden and Kamala responsible for the world? Hello. So I feel like there's been this misinformation and this false smear campaign to where they've said, "Oh, this is all Joe and Kamala's fault. This inflation is all their fault." No, we are living in the after effects of COVID. Did y'all really think we were gonna get all that money, all that unemployment, all them stimulus checks, and not have to pay that shit back in some kind of way? You know, it's like when Trump came into office in 2016. 2016 to 2020, we were living in the after effects of the Obama era, baby. That wasn't all Donald Trump. Now, we'll give him some credit. We'll give him some credit, right? Because he did do some stuff. But 2016 through 2020, all that bliss we were living in, or I'm sorry, yeah, 2016 through 2020, those great times we were living in, that was after effects of the Obama administration. A president don't just come into office and everything changes overnight. No, it's a process, right? It's a process. So when Trump left office in 2020, guess what? 2020 through up until now, we've been feeling the effects of the Trump administration. We've been feeling the effects of all the bullshit that went on during his administration, right? Now, again, I'm not getting up here and saying the man didn't do things. The First Step Act is one of the great things that I agree that he did, that I liked, that I was here for. I think did great things, right? I truly believe a lot of the issues with this election as well was that the Democrats got too comfortable. The Democratic Party relied on their voters and they took them for granted and they assumed that, you'll give us your vote. You're not going to ever vote for Trump because we've told you 1,000 times what a horrible person he is, and you're going to believe us. So vote for us again, right? And again. before anybody comes for me in the comments, the record show, let it be very clear, I voted for Kamala. I voted on a Democratic ticket, but I'm speaking truth. I'm not going to be brainwashed. I'm not going to be just sit here and blindly support someone and say, well, how dare y'all? Just like Sonny Hostin did on The View. How dare Americans vote for someone who is this and this and this and this? And it's like, it's easy for these celebrities to say these things when they're making the amounts of money that they are. You know? Just like Alyssa Farah Griffin on The View, she said, I'm a high income earner. I make a lot of money, so it's easy for me to sit up here and talk about Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. Donald Trump is this. It's easy for these celebrities to tell us, don't do this, da, 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 when they're banking. They don't have to worry about putting food on the table. A chef's going to do it. They don't have to worry about the lights are going to cut off. That's automatically coming out of their millions in their bank account. And I feel like that's another issue that where the Democrats miss the mark, is that instead of getting out here and speaking about real grassroots issues that Americans are facing in these rural areas, in these urban areas, in these suburban areas, instead of getting out here and talking to the people and facing the real issues that people are facing, y'all taunted abortion and played with abortion like that was going to win something, and you forgot that not everybody's female, even though men should care about abortion too, right? Men should care about abortion too. Um, y'all dropped the ball with the celebrity thing. Don't get me wrong. Celebrities have platforms, they have huge followings, they have a voice, right? So I feel like it would be a disservice for some celebrities to not use their platform, to not use their voice to lift up and influence some of the people in the public, especially the youth. However, I feel like with Harris's campaign, this is why I think she should have gotten a whole new campaign manager, whole new team, because they heavily relied on the celebrity endorsements. We saw Beyonce, we saw Cardi B, we saw Taylor Swift. I mean, Taylor Swift and Beyonce, two of the biggest stars in the world. Two of the most followed musicians in the world, right? One of them has a very liberal following, the other has a very conservative following. Both of them telling us, vote for Kamala, right? So they were thinking that, oh, we got this in the bag. We got this in the bag. We'll just tell the celebrities to tell the people to vote for us, and we got it. And here's another thing, too, and I'm about to close this out. Living in the times that we live in now, where we have access to whatever we want right in our hands, times are different. Y'all, the government, Big Brother, whoever's in charge of the Matrix here, you can't fool the American people anymore. 20 years ago, when you didn't have access to the internet so fast, it was easier to lie and manipulate the American public, right? Show them an edited, scripted newscast, and we believe it. Now there's so much independent media. There's so many podcasters. Now, with that comes misinformation. With independent news media, with podcasters, with everybody out here with a microphone like myself, comes misinformation, which is why I'm trying to fact check and do the best I can. So if I got anything wrong, feel free to please comment below and let me know. I'm all about, I want the facts. I'm tired of the misinformation. I'm tired of the conspiracy theories. I want factual information. So if there's anything in this video that I missed or I may have stated incorrectly, please chime in below. But nowadays, the mainstream media is not where people get their news anymore. And I think that the veil just finally came off. I think the mask finally came off. The Democratic Party, in order for them to get back on track, we need a new front runner. We need someone new to come along that can comfort the American people, that the American people can trust, which I know is hard with politicians, but we need someone to come along that's not going to just read a teleprompter, tell us what we want to hear, and get us back on track. Get us back on track, because baby, we are a lost party, okay? And and I say we, I don't even consider myself a Democrat. I don't consider myself Democratic or Republican. I like to say I'm independent. I like to say I'm in the middle. I want to think for myself, and I want to figure it out for myself, right? Now, in closing, I think a lot of people, now that the election's over, there have been citizens and people in the Democratic Party who are placing blame on Joe Biden. Oh, Joe should have stepped down before, because a lot of folks think that, and I agree with this part here, not that Joe should have stepped down before, but I agree with the sentiment that Kamala didn't have long enough to really prepare for this. She didn't have long enough to get out there and let people get to know her. She didn't have long enough to get out there and let the people trust her and find out who she is, and you know, and really push her policies more like I'm sure she wanted to. I feel like folks are just looking for anybody to blame at this point. Because really trying to blame Joe Biden, here's the thing. If Joe had not started stuttering, if Joe had not started having issues, they would have kept pushing that man out there. He would have been running up, he would have been, Kamala would have never even been a choice. If Joe if that debate between Trump and Joe had not happened the way that it happened, they would have never pressured that man to step down. Because here's the thing, and that's another thing I'm pissed that is that the Democrats have tried to sell us that Joe Biden voluntarily stepped down. I don't believe that. I think he was pressured to step down. I think that debate, the people were like, "Holy shit, this is our president. He can't even form a sentence, right?" It freaked them out, and they were like, "We've got to get him out of here. We got to put Kamala in right now. We've got 5 months," and they pushed him out of there. That's what I think happened. And now they're wanting to blame him. Why didn't you step down? It's all smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. I don't think it's fair to blame Joe. I don't think it is fair to blame Joe. I really don't. I think we can blame him for other stuff, but not that. Um, but two things can be true at once. At the same time, that can be true. And it also can be true that Kamala did not have enough time to run a solid campaign. 5 months? Most people start this a year or two ago, right? Most people start their campaigns like what, 2 years before? A year and a half before? So I have to commend her for doing what she did. But instead of blaming her, I don't want to put a lot of blame on her. I put a lot of the blame on the people around her. I think she needed a whole new team. I think because the problem is, like I said, she had the Biden team, same team they've had for the last 4 years. I think if she was going to be a new president, she needed a new, maybe not fire everybody, but let's bring in some new ideas. Let's bring in some new, fresh perspectives, some new people. Let's try to shake this up because the American people were tired of the same shit they got the last 4 years. That's just the end of it. Whether you agree with it, whether I agree with it, the people have spoken, and they wanted to give Donald Trump another chance. Now, here's for me my last words, my final words. Was I happy with the results? No. But what I'm not going to do is fall into fear mongering. What I'm not going to do is sit over here like, oh my God, Trump's in office. What are we going to do? Oh my God, threat to democracy. The country's over. We don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's all take a deep breath. And let's see what happens. Okay? I know it's difficult. I know times are scary right now. But let's have hope. Let's have some hope. Let's breathe. Let's see what happens these next 4 years because at the end of the day, he can't be president forever. And I know they try to scare us into that by saying, "Oh, if we have another election, Trump might end up being a dictator and we might never have any more elections." Like, y'all, do y'all know how many people would fucking riot? Y'all thought January 6th was something else. If Donald Trump turned himself into a dictator and there was never another presidential election, there would be nationwide riots. There would be worldwide riots. So let's just stop with the fear mongering and let's just see what happens, okay? I'd love to hear your point of view. Let me know what you think. Do you guys think Democrats dropped the ball with this election? And if so, what do you think they could have done better? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, click the subscribe button and the thumbs up button to like this video. In the description box below will be some ways that you can donate if you would like to leave a donation to help us grow and sustain this show and this platform. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode here on Damien After Dark. I appreciate your support so freaking much. I can't say it enough. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and we'll see you next time.